Hello and welcome to the Working Tools Masonic Podcast, where today we will be discussing public perceptions of Freemasonry.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Today on the Working Tools Podcast, we have our three-quarters of our usual gang. We have Worshipful Brother Stephen Chung from Kelowna, British Columbia. Right Worshipful Brother Trevor McKeown, who's the Grand Historian of the Grand Lodge of British Columbia and Yukon. And myself, Very Worshipful Brother Matt Appel from down here in the Grand Lodge of Washington territory, if you will. And so this episode sort of started as an idea because Trevor had made some observations about what's been going on in the press and in the public sphere of late that sort of has been glancing off of Masonry or touching on the name of Masonry at least. And so I guess, Right Worshipful Sir, if you would take your observations to the crowd, please.
It's just something that I noticed. So we had in British Columbia a month ago, March 30th, 3 of our buildings torched. There's a publication ban, so I don't even think officially we know the fellow's name. And I don't know what that's all about. But regardless, it's very clear that this was a targeted attack against Freemasonry. But this is just sort of the final symptom, the final result of something that's almost systemic, where Freemasons are identified with other secret societies, fictional ones like the Water Buffaloes, and dangerous ones like the Mafia or Cosa Nostra, whatever. So 2 incidences happened in the last month that I thought were noteworthy in light of the recent arson. And one has to do with a restaurant owner in Kitsilano in Vancouver, who refused to close down when told to, and she had a rally turn up of anti-maskers, one of whom stuck her face in the camera for the global television, I think, reporter, and said that what he should be doing is investigating the Freemasons.
Implying
that we were behind either COVID or the masks or everything. Probably everything.
right, because we rule the world, right?
Precisely.
And I thought it was just the weather.
Mm-hmm. So the next day, Toronto, the Globe and Mail newspaper published an article by a woman who had written a book recently about a 25-year-old sex cult in Quebec, I think. Not sure, it doesn't matter. But she described this sex cult as a secret society in the same light as describing Freemasonry. And that's not libel and it's not anti-Masonic. It's lazy journalism reaching for a metaphor, and all you can find is Freemasonry for secrecy. But it's that systemic grinding down of making fun of Freemasonry, fictionalizing Freemasonry. And that, I think, is a bigger danger to us than the anti-Masons. Just my thought.
What do you mean fictionalizing?
Well, so in the same breath as a reporter would mention the Water Buffaloes, she'll say the Freemasons. So we are just bit players on television shows. For the last 40 years, we've been the staple of police procedurals. At some point, every series has to have someone get killed in a lodge hall. Certainly in British drama, police procedurals. So it's been going on for years, and of course the internet, like it does with everything, it's just made it all that much more apparent and made it that much faster.
Right. And so there's actually a group of people out there thinking that the Freemasons are responsible for COVID.
Oh, by no, yeah. So.
And-
As if we would come up with something that would be targeting our exact membership.
Right.
Of older people who hang out in closed spaces.
Yeah.
Right after, I don't think there's any reason I can't mention this, right after the fires, someone posted into a Facebook page something to the effect of 3 lodges all at once. That's a bit of a coincidence. Maybe it was a black flag operation. We burnt down our own buildings for our own purposes.
Oh.
So you see, these people are completely delusional, completely tied to a cognitive dissonance with them in reality that you can pile anything on top of it, and I don't think it weakens it at all.
Well, I guess those who are uninformed, I guess they randomly find something in their head and decide that might be the target or the what they'll accuse. I wish there was a way that we had to inform them other than just telling them that that's not us. They can do all this research and find all these conspiracy theories. How come they can't find stuff that validates us otherwise, right?
I think part of there's so much ignorance out there. I mean, at one point, at least here in the States, there was like 1 out of every 10 adult males was a Freemason kind of thing. There were enough Masons out there that everybody knew one, and
Pretty much
there was I don't know if familiarity is quite the word, but at least you were aware that the organization existed, that Bob down the street was a Mason, and Bob's a decent guy. So, at least there was some familiarity there. At this point, we've shrunk so much, and we've in some ways deliberately shrunk from the public eye so much that, someone could say, oh, the Freemasons are behind that, and nobody would know any different. Nobody would be able to say, well, my uncle's a Freemason. He's not a bad guy. It's just not out there. I almost think we're suffering from ignorance, not maliciousness, but ignorance of our existence.
Some of it is willful ignorance, certainly those who feed it. But in the main, I think more people under 30 will be familiar with the Illuminati than they will with Freemasonry. If they were asked to identify it. Someone did an interview in front of the White House, having nothing to do with the White House, but that was the backdrop, man on the street sort of interview, asking passerbys, what is Al-Qaeda? This was 10, 15 years ago. And one of the people said, listen to me, Al-Qaeda is a secret chapter in the Freemasons. So it's all about word recognition. Nothing.
Wow.
There's no meaning behind any of it.
Yeah,
Totally fictionalized. So, and part of what started this conversation, I think, was someone was talking before about how we shouldn't be a society with secrets, that we have to be much more transparent. I'm sorry, Cameron was saying that we are a society with secrets. And we should be emphasizing that. I guess it's a question of terms. And I don't like calling us a secret society because people know about it. And I don't like calling us a society with secrets because that's the FBI or, not us. We're a private society. And what we do is private. It's always been my thinking. But he wants us to retain the secrecy more because he's equating that with mystery. And I cannot agree with him more that, yes, we have to retain our mystery, but we can retain our mystery and not be secretive about it. And quite frankly, it's been too long a week and I'm too tired to try and make an argument for that point.
Yeah, as I've said before, I mean, just we're so out of the public eye at this point that anyone can say anything. And I almost feel, as I've said before on this podcast, that we should we as the Grand Lodge of Washington or some group should almost just put out an ad or a billboard or whatever that just says Happy Thanksgiving from the Freemasons of Washington, and just leave it at that. It's not recruiting. It's not anything. It's just, hey, we still exist and we think Thanksgiving is a good thing. And, just keep our name in people's eyes.
Yeah, with some positive aspect to it, Yeah, even if it's just a simple greeting, like you say, right? Just it's a positive out there that connects us to positive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which brings us to another point that was raised recently, I think, having to do with charity and whether charity should be what's on that billboard about Freemasonry. Us handing checks to somebody, us turning sod, us helping a child, us kneeling down to help a child stand, walk. Is that the flagship that we should be flying Freemasonry with?
I don't know. I think that yes, we do charitable things, and that can always be noted. But normally we do them nonchalantly, not for the publicity of it. We do it for the sake of doing that particular thing. And so, no, I don't think that should be the main focus when publicizing us. I think that maybe some of the values or things like that might be a better thing to work into a promotion.
It's like we've discussed before that Masonry isn't really a charity and shouldn't be. But Masonry should inspire Masons to act charitably, to charitable works. And it's sort of a different thing. That said, then we go and organize ourselves and have Shriner hospitals and that sort of stuff. And you cannot deny the good that those things have done. So I don't know. I guess I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth there, but it's hard to.
But that's not. I mean, the Shriners Hospital is a different arm or leg of the fraternal organization. It is not Blue Lodge, which is the base of Freemasonry. Is just our regular Blue Lodges, right? So when you think about what the Shriners do, I think it's fabulous work they do, and thank goodness most of them are retired, because all the work they do takes a lot of work and effort to accomplish. And I think that the guys who wanted to do more of that service type thing really get what they're looking for when they join the Shriners. No different than when some guys are looking to join either the Scottish Rite or the York Rite. If they're joining the right thing for a particular reason, they're seeking out that. Hopefully, they get that from that organization. And I think that the good charitable things that are done by the concordant bodies are great, but I think that's where people start to gain that misconception that we are a charitable organization, right? Because we are so tied together in our concordant bodies, right?
Yep, I agree. Yeah, although I know there are a fair number of people out there who don't associate the Shriners with Masonry anymore. Again, Masonry has shrunk from the public eye so much that the Shriners have to tell people, no, you have to be a Mason first when someone walks into the local Shriners Hall and says, I want to join. So
do they not say Shrine Masons on their logo or one of their word marks? I thought called it Shrine Masons.
They do, and they do, like on the local shrine building near here. There's a big square and compass there's a square and compass and the shrine symbol are on the gate as you drive through, kind of thing. So it's not, they obviously don't hide it, but it's not always there, I guess. It's the Shriners Hospitals for Children. It's not the Shrine Masons Hospitals for Children or whatever. So, and I don't begrudge them that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just,
I'm not sure if the square and compasses emblem is actually that much more or has that much higher recognition than the term, the word Freemason. Because I'm constantly showing people the square and compasses on my phone and asking them, do you have any jewelry or furniture, in and out of stores all the time, anything that has this on it. And maybe even 20% of the time it's, what is that? So.
Yeah. I actually thought it would have more recognition.
No, I would say 2 out of every 10, 2 or 3 out of every 20, enough to make it noticeable that people say. Younger people, for the most part.
Yep.
Although it was wonderful when I walked into one store and someone immediately recognized it from a board game, World of Warcraft or something, the Illuminatus trilogy, who knows, one of the many games, and proceeded to give me a little lecture on what Freemasonry was. 18-year-old who's just learned everything he can about this game. And, great. And found someone who would listen to it.
And how much did he actually comprehend?
Oh, close enough, for all he needed to know.
All right.
I did correct, I think, a few minor points. We have nothing to do with the Illuminati. Oh no, they got it now.
Yeah, that can always be fun. I had a brief discussion this morning where I had to explain what Freemasonry was again, because a guy noticed I got these emblems that said Masonic Edition, and I put it on my back of my car underneath the Honda Accord symbol, right, or name. And the guy said, I've driven a lot of Hondas in my life, but what's a Masonic Edition? Well, that's the driver, right? Yeah. It was a good conversation we had, though. But he, I think he's more of a conspiracy theorist. That wasn't a good connection, right?
I'm always amazed at how many conspiracy-minded people we have within the craft.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think Freemasonry has anything to do with that, but they've got all their own, be it 9/11 or whatever, that chemtrails.
Yep. I too am surprised how many have
and
let it be known that they think that way quite openly. Is very surprising, right?
It's not surprising to me because I have a tendency to smile and nod a lot, so I understand and I'm agreeing with them. I don't start edging away until later. But they are my brothers, so I'll give them. I hear it.
And they're entitled to their opinions, as wacky as some of them may seem.
But I joined Freemasonry looking for an entry into the unified conspiracy theory right out of college. And I knew it, or I believed it wasn't to be found, but I had to check off the negative box on that one. I was pretty sure that it wasn't. I believed it wasn't because of my father's involvement. But all of my readings always kept mentioning Masonry. So I said, okay, the only way I'm going to figure this out is to join and look at their records. So I joined and I looked at the records, and I spent 30, 40 years now studying the records.
I was just going to say, and now 5 years later.
I have not found the conspiracy, but I have been looking for it all these years. But by doing that, I sort of inoculated myself, if you will, against the whole logic of conspiracy theories, the way of creating these building blocks of So any of the other ones that come along, I now say, okay, well, they're using the same argument for 9/11, say, that they used to implicate Freemasonry in the Kennedy assassination, or whatever historical example you want to take. So they're all using the same argument. So I would have thought that a Freemason would be inoculated against this, but obviously not.
It takes all kinds, I guess.
Yeah.
And
There was, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and there'll be a channel for them somewhere.
Yes.
You jog my memory in there. Oh, the private society thing. Earlier it finally percolated through my brain. You were saying about the secret society with secrets, private society thing, and it's an interesting triangulation. My wife, we had a guy who was interested in joining the lodge, and he asked if there are secrets to the lodge, and I said, well, yeah, there are some, but they're not earth shattering or anything, but there are things that if something goes on in the meeting, whatever, you're not supposed to discuss it outside the meeting. And there's a couple of little secrets that go, or a couple of secrets that go with Masonry, little or big, depending on how you look at them, I suppose. But he said that he and his wife have no secrets between them, and so that he was not allowed to have he wasn't going to join Masonry because he would be keeping secrets from his wife. And so this guy's a financial advisor, and my statement to him was, well, it's more private. It's like you wouldn't talk to your wife about your clients. You wouldn't say, John Smith has $10 million in the bank. That's something that as I hit my microphone, that's something between you and John Smith, not something that you share with your wife necessarily. It made me wonder a little bit. Maybe he does, but there's a line there that, if I were to tell my wife everything that goes on in our meetings, I don't know that she would care. But I keep that to myself. And I think there's I don't know what you call it. Your private society thing is actually a very good name, I think, for that. Makes sense.
I'd like to keep referring to us as a private society for a couple of reasons. The biggest, I'm not going to say threat, but certainly concern that Freemasonry should have on the public stage at the moment is a growing sense that there's something wrong with Freemasonry because women can't join. That was always in the background, but usually not a big issue. Most women say, yeah, fine, whatever, do whatever you want to do, I don't care. And that's fine. But I'm seeing a growing pushback to the male-only aspect of it. When you think for a moment, at one of the press conferences, I believe we held two press conferences about the arson. And at one of them, after saying simply, we have no comment and go talk to the police, that's their business. And there was one reporter, a woman, who wanted to ask about women can't belong. Why can't women, whatever. And he was a little abrupt with her because I think he was, I don't know, I haven't talked to him about this, but I suspect he was blindsided. He didn't expect a question like that. So didn't really know how to deal with it. But I suspect that there's going to be more of that sort of thing.
I agree. I think that's an interesting question that looms over Masonry in the future here.
And as a private group, a bunch of guys who just like to hang out together for our own reasons, thank you very much, protected up here by freedom of association. My corollary to freedom of association is the freedom to choose who you associate with. So if we want to keep out women, that's our business. Harumph, harumph.
And on that harumph-filled note, I think our time is drawing to a close here for our discussion. So on behalf of Trevor and Steve and myself, thank you all for listening to the Working Tools podcast, and we look forward to talking with you again soon. Goodbye.